You want love, you want people to spend time with you, you want people to be honest with you, all amazing. But today we're going to talk about what can you offer? Because you got to get very, very honest with yourself before you go jumping into relationships and then think, oh my God, I'm in way over my head. So we're going to talk about today what your bandwidth is in relationships and how to be honest with yourself. Check it out. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It is your girl, Lori. I am so excited to be here with you. Welcome to Halloween week. When I talk to you again, I can't believe it's going to be already November. Crazy. So happy Halloween weekend. I hope that you guys have something fun planned or you've already done something fun. But yeah, before you know it, it's going to be Christmas time. And then we'll be talking about summer again. You know, it seems like the older you get, the faster time goes. But and over on Patreon, we are really going to jump into some really good self-awareness piece to what we're going to talk about here. So the Patreon always complements what we're talking about today, and it gives you a worksheet and it helps you sort of unbox what we're talking about to know where to start. If that is your jam, jump on over to patreon.com/the positivity experience. And, or you can just click on the link anywhere that you get this podcast. It's in the show description, which is the show notes. So I really want to talk to you about it because it's so important, right? You know, everybody's like, okay, these are my needs, which, by the way, love that. Love that you know what your needs are, but you also have to know what your limitations are. And I'm going to use plants, okay? I want to use plants because I want to give you a good analogy. And I'm going to do some things that are going to be similar to like anxious attachment, any attachment theory, because sometimes you think that you can give in a relationship what you feel you need in a relationship. And while in your logic mind that goes, or in your hopeful mind, it goes, yeah, well, yeah, this is what I need. This is what I'm going to give back. No, not always, because you get so caught up in your needs, right? Especially if you're dealing with anxious attachment, disorganized attachment, and, avoidant attachment. All of those things come into play where you're always kind of worrying about, well, what's this person going to do? Well, do they love me? Okay, so you don't have the capacity to give to somebody, but you're not always honest with yourself. Now, you see this a lot in relationships that start out like hardcore strong. You know, you ever been in a relationship or seen somebody and you think they've been together 3 weeks, like 3 weeks. And wow, they're already talking about going to Europe together. And what is it going to look like when we have children? And they're the best person that they've ever seen. And they're so kind and they're bringing coffee every day and they're the apple of the eye. That is not going to be maintained. And then somebody's going to go, well, what happened? Like, what happened? Like, we were good. We were great. I thought it was the best relationship I've ever had in my life. Now, sometimes those go into narcissistic relationships, but not always. Sometimes you go, oh my gosh, this person totally ghosted me. Why'd this person ghost me? What? I thought we were great. Because they don't have the capacity. First of all, FYI side note, when people ghost you, I celebrate it. Why? Because they're doing you a favor. They're showing you that communication is not their strong suit. And if you like good communication, which typically a relationship is going to carry, and you're going to have the certain comfort with conflict and stuff, they may not have that. So if they're demonstrating to you early on that they don't have that and they just like ghost out, then good. The only reason it bothers you is because you don't know why, and it doesn't matter why. Okay. But I want to talk to you because the reason I want to use plants is in my head. I'm going to give you an example. I would love to have plants, beautiful plants, orchids, all these gorgeous plants, and just make it look so like very woo-woo, and like just very boho and beautiful things. Okay, I know my capacity to maintain the care of a plant. It doesn't exist. If you're mad at a plant, you would give it to me because it's not going to last, right? Now, certain plants, yes, give me a snake plant, it's fine. Give me something that is like, I have an air plant that my friend Ellen gave me a couple years back. It's perfectly fine. Why? I have to care about it like minimum. I spray it every now and again, might soak the root every now and again. That's it. That's all I got to do. I don't have to do anything else with it. I don't have to worry about, is it getting too much sun? Is it okay? No, those are the things that I can maintain. I may want an orchid. I may want something of a higher caliber that's gorgeous and that, you got to bring it in the winter. No, it's not going to happen. So I may want this, but I have to be honest with myself to know what it is that I am capable and willing to give. Not even capable. I'm capable of taking care of it. I'm not willing to be the plant person right now. Maybe one day, maybe not, but the beautiful thing is there are plant people. There are arborists. There are people who do trees I love trees. I will enjoy a tree. I am not going to take a tree from a sapling. I'm just not going to do it. It takes effort that I'm not willing to commit. Let's give that in a relationship. Okay. So I have a secure attachment, which took me a million years to get there, which means if you compared me to a plant, it's going to be a snake plant. A snake plant is hardy. It doesn't matter. It barely needs any attention whatsoever. Set it in a corner, give it a little attention every and again, toss some water in it once in a while. It's great. It requires no high maintenance. That is my kind of plant. Would I like an orchid? Would I like these beautiful florally things? Sure. Am I going to do it? No. Absolutely not, because I don't want to kill the plant. I want to have plants that I know fit my style. So you got to know that about yourself. So you may be the same person. You may be like, God, I really want all these plants and I've decided I want to plant a whole garden and I'm going to have tomatoes and I'm going to, okay. And then you have to say to yourself, am I really going to do that? Am I willing to really do that? If the answer to that question is no, don't go into it and then get mad at it and be like, oh my God, I just can't do this anymore. You do that in relationships all the time, right? In relationships, you do it all the time. You say, wow, I really want a relationship that I can travel with somebody and I can do all these things and all of these amazing things. Okay, well, that's great. You're talking about what you want, right? Love that. I love that. Yes. But you may not be able to give that same energy because that same energy isn't going to be a person who may like the exact same thing. Just because sometimes people like to travel, like you like to travel, they may require a golf trip 4 times a year for 2 weeks. I don't know. And you go, well, I don't know if I can handle that. But now, mind you, they tell you this. They say, and you go, okay. And then you realize, oh my God, maybe I'm not equipped to be able to feel comfortable in that. So I want to talk to you about it. So let's compare you to a morning glory. Okay. So what is a morning glory? They're actually very, very pretty. It's a plant that climbs, right? So typically you're going to plant a trellis and the morning glory is going to go up all around it. It's going to cling and it's going to wrap around the support, much like somebody with anxious attachment. All right. So if you know, hey, you know what? I may have anxious attachment myself. Can I give this plant, this relationship, a similar type of vibe if that's what they need? Because where you may run into problems is, what if you have anxious attachment? What if you're the morning glory and me and you are going to start dating and I'm the snake plant? Okay, so I just want you to hear this out. Again, snake plant doesn't require a lot, doesn't do all of that stuff. So you coming in hot, trying to be like, hey, let's do all of these things. Let's go all of these places. Oh my God, I want to do all of this stuff for you. Oh my God, I just want to be with you all the time. This is you coming to me because you want mine and your relationship to work. Now, by the way, it can be friendship too, right? It doesn't just have to be a love relationship. Well, I don't need that. So I don't want that. I don't need or want somebody who's got to call me all the time and oh my God, what are you doing? All of these things. This is what I need. And if I need it, you must need it. No, because it's going to put that clingy type feel onto me. However, you may be the clinger, but you may not have it to give because you're too worried about what I'm doing. Am I out with my friends? Am I out with doing this? You may not even have it to give me. So again, just because you may be the morning glory doesn't mean, and quite honestly, you don't need another morning glory, right? Like you don't need that, because then you're dealing with 2 anxious people. That is hugely, not great. Like that is hugely not great. So you have to ask yourself in any relationship, what am I giving and why am I giving it? Because if you're going to be in an anxious attachment space and you're dealing with someone with secure attachment or avoidant attachment, oh God, that's going to be difficult, right? So like avoidant attachment, let's use aloe vera. It's a succulent. I know it's called a plant, but it's okay. It's very, very hardy. One of those things, very self-sufficient. It stores water. It's in the leaves. It thrives. Minimal attention. I'm kind of like that too, but not in a way where it's like, it just avoids things. Like aloe vera is like, I really don't care if you ever come around me. I kind of want you. I kind of don't. We're good. So if you, the morning glory, okay, if you have morning glory energy and you're like, I just want to give everybody everything and I want to give them all my time and I want to do that. And you're dealing with someone who's an aloe vera plant or a snake plant, it's going to be a relationship that isn't going to work. It's going to be very difficult for it to work because, and now you could say, okay, well, if I know I can give, I don't know, and don't just say you can give 100%. What does that mean? What does your version of 100% mean? Oh, I can do this. I can do that. Okay. Ask the person or persons, what do you require, right? This is where that communication has to come into play. What do you require, right? Because you don't just assume because you require A, B, C, D, this other person requires A, B, C, D. Because it's not going to land the same. And then you're going to get your feelings hurt because you're going to go, well, I'm trying. And they're like, you're over trying and I don't want that. So just because I look at an orchid and go, oh my God, this orchid's beautiful. It is way too much maintenance for me. I love it from afar, but I'm not going to get involved. So the orchid could come to me and be like, hey, Lori, can I live in your house? And I'm going to say, hey, listen, orchid, I'm going to keep it real with you. I think you're absolutely gorgeous. It's not you, it's me. It's not something that I'm going to be able to give you. And I appreciate you, but it's just not going to work out. You don't need to live here. Right? So, but you have to be honest with yourself. So again, just because you're the orchid or just because you are the morning glory doesn't mean that you have that energy to give because you're too consumed with how you feel. So until you're honest with the level, and again, we're going to talk about this over on Patreon. There's a worksheet with it, so it'll help you understand it a little bit better. But you got to remember that you may not be able to give what that person needs because you may be assuming, we did a podcast on assuming, that person needs the same thing as you do, but they don't need the same thing as you do. And I mean, they might in a healthy way, not in an attached way. But if you meet somebody who likes to go to the beach, right? And you're like, oh my God, we are total beach people. We want to get a summer house. Okay. Oh my God, that's great. That's not attachment. That's like minds. You like it. You see that a lot with boating people. You know, boating people love boating people because they understand each other. Where, I mean, I'll go on a boat, but I'm not a boater. I have no desire to spend all day out there. So it would be no sense for me to be like, I want to be with you guys. So I'm going to go hop on this boat all day, every day. I'm going to be miserable. In turn, you're not going to want me to be there. But because I want to be included, I'm sacrificing my peace to say that I can be a boater, but I really don't want to be a boater. So until you're clear with what your needs and desires are, you're always going to be either assuming that they will have the same needs or getting upset because you did something and in your mind it wasn't appreciated. They may not appreciate it because they don't need it. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they're unattached, like unconnected. It doesn't mean, or disconnected. It doesn't mean any of those things at all. Right? Now, a Venus flytrap, very disorganized plant. Okay. The disorganized is where you take a little bit of anxiousness, a little bit of avoidant, put it in a little incubator and they make a baby. And that's called disorganized attachment, right? So you figure with a Venus flytrap, it's very unique because what that does is it's very alluring. It's beautiful. You're like, oh my God, look at that. That's so cool. And it looks pretty. And the little leaves are all open and it just looks amazing. And then, oh my gosh, here comes that fly and it goes, whoosh, and it like eats the fly. So you're like, wait a minute. Did you want me to land on you or did you want me to eat me? Like, what is it? And so it lures their insects in, right? That's literally what a Venus flytrap does, is it lures these insects in with this beauty. And then it snaps shut like, nope. Either I'm going to eat you or you know what? I don't even want you on me. It's like, hey, bro, I thought that we were good. And you'll find that there's a lot of that in relationships. This is why attachment theory comes in very heavily in all relationships. People automatically hear the word relationship and think intimate love relationship. I mean, friendship carries love. It's not just about a partner type relationship. This is friendship too, right? You may have had a clingy friend. You may have had a friend that says you're clingy, right? Because your needs, you're still putting your needs in there, but you're not looking at what you can give. See, this is where it becomes all about you and the ego. So if you go, I am in disorganized attachment or anxious attachment, whatever, okay? And you're like, but I need this closeness. Okay, that's what you need. That's fine until you can get through that and get on the other side of it. But they may not. And then you go, well, but they never include me because they don't need it. And then that's heavy energy for them. They don't want that energy around. And now it becomes a problem. So you got to remember, when you're building relationships, you must know the person that you're dealing with. Okay. If you require in your mind, let's say friendship, you require with friendship, in your mind, you like that camaraderie, you like that getting together, you like talking, you like, all of those things, but you kind of are still in anxious attachment because you're not on the other side. I promise you, when you get into secure attachment, you'll say, because you can still require more human contact than another person and not be in anxious attachment. Just everybody who wants to be around people doesn't mean that you're anxious. Just some people require it more than others. So, but instead of getting upset and playing out storylines and trying to figure out what you did wrong and why that person doesn't like you and why they're not including you, ask the question. Well, then you go into, well, I'm afraid. Well, now we're going into fear of conflict. I don't know what to tell you about that, because if you don't ask a question, you're going to play the storyline out in your head, and it's never usually a positive one. You're constantly playing it over. And you're always making it like, well, but they do this. Now you decide what you see through your lens. But they're capable. Like, they're out having fun with other people. Again, you're making it about you. You got to know what the other person's boundaries are. And can you tolerate them? That's the other side of it. No, you don't have to be the person who's like, okay, well, that's just how they are. And so, no, it didn't say that. But you got to know what it is that you are capable of providing to a person. And when you know what your capability is of providing to a person, then you're able to decide, well, maybe I need to focus more on what I can give, and what I can give needs to be more to myself, so I can figure out why I feel this need to have to be around somebody all the time, because you're making your needs about you. Now, if you actually say your needs to somebody, hey, you know what? Like, I'm really working through some things. Like, I really need more of a connection. You gotta be okay. This is why you don't say it. You gotta be okay with them going, I totally understand that. I appreciate that for you. I can't give that to you. Right? Because they love you. They love you enough and respect you enough to be able to share that with you. To be able to say, I am not in a place to give that to you. This is not what I'm willing to do. Everyone has capabilities. Like, realistically, we could all be capable of having an orchid, having a morning glory. We could all be capable of it. But do we want to? We may not want to, and that's okay. Not wanting to is a valid reason. So when you're honest with yourself, then you can be honest with the relationships, because we get so caught up in the me, I need that. Now, by the way, you do need those things. And by all means, yes, make that your thing. Know what you want, know what you need, communicate it. Love that for you. But that's one side of the story. The other side is, what can you give, right? And then you say, oh, that's a really good question, because maybe I can't give what I need. Maybe I think I can, but maybe I'm giving with my needs in mind, which goes into ego. So maybe you go, well, I could do that because that's what I want. But again, are you asking what somebody else wants? So do you see how that works? So you got to say, you could be the orchid, you could be that flower. But if you're dealing with that type of a flower energy, like if you see that coming, just because it looks pretty and it's shiny and it looks like, oh my God, this is such a great fit. But if you know, oh, this is going to be a lot. This person comes with a lot, love them for it, but comes with more than what I'm willing to give. Willing, because there's a willing there, that you're willing to give. And be honest about it. You get so caught up in your head about like, well, but I don't want to tell the orchid I don't want it here. Why not? So now you're going to sit there and keep being like, oh, fuck, okay, I guess I got to deal with this orchid. All right, how do I take care of this thing? All right, let me throw an ice cube in there. Now you half begrudgingly are taking care of this orchid. You don't really want to take care of the orchid, but you didn't want to hurt the orchid's feelings. Now the orchid doesn't even feel like it's wanted. And you're like, but I'm doing what I need to do. It just becomes a problem. So don't force relationships based on what you need out of some anxiousness or out of some avoidance, and then get upset when they don't do the same, because that may be the capability in which they have. You don't get to will someone into treating you different. You don't get to will that, because a person can only do what they're willing to do. I see this a lot in couples counseling. Oh my gosh, a lot, where, I'll be talking to a couple and, one person really needs this and another person really needs this. And no one is willing to say what they're willing to give, right? So you may say, I hear you. I love that that's what you need. Let's not even make it like something that's intimate. Let's say your partner requires other friend time, like hanging out with other friends, like not just you, requires that. And they say, I require that. And then you go, but I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why they need that. Like, why am I not enough? Why are you trying to change them? They literally told you what their needs are. And you basically said, I don't understand why they can't change. Because they don't have to change. And they should never change for you. That's going to create huge problems. So what you would do in that situation, your partner says to you, hey, you know what? I really require pickleball with my friends 5 nights a week. This is what I require. It's how it makes me feel good. It's what makes me tick. I need to do it from 6 to 8. If you honestly know that right now, something that you're dealing with, maybe your needs are like, ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of time away from me. I barely see you because now you work from 7 to 7. So you never see the person. So the time that they're off, they're usually playing pickleball. You might see them for an hour or two. And you're like, oh my God, like I barely see them. But if they're communicating this to you and they're like, this is what I need, you have to say, can I give them that? Can I give them the respect of doing that? If I cannot, you've got to be honest instead of going, but I need. If you can't meet a person halfway or even sometimes over halfway, then get out of the relationship. Stop trying to make someone change. Right? I see this a lot. I see it a lot where, I've used this example because it's a true example. Somebody says, oh my gosh, I'm dating this guy. Oh my God, it's great. He is great. He's hot. He's got some money. He's got his own business. He's driven. He's a great dad to his kids. Oh my God, this is everything. Now, mind you, he's got his own business. He works 74 hours a week. You know this. You knew this hitting the door. Year and a half later, now you have a baby, and now you're on the same other end going, I don't understand. We had a kid. Did you discuss what it was going to be like? Well, I told him I was going to need help, and he said he would hire somebody. Yeah, because you know what he does. Like, don't get mad at the person because you assume that, yes, we evolve. Yes, we change. Yes, we have to meet people halfway. But there's going to come a point in time where certain people are going to say, listen, no, you knew this. It's like, I have a lot of clients who are on both sides of the fence who date law enforcement. And then they go, I can't stand that they're a cop. But they were a cop for 14 years before you met them. Yeah, but I don't like it now. Okay, well, and now you're mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? Like, they told you what their requirement is. This is what makes them happy. Their job, their thing makes them happy. So you have to be clear that your needs are important for you, and to know and to be able to sort of like say, hey, is this something you can provide? Be honest, especially in a new relationship, but in any relationship. Is this something you can provide? Let the person, like I said, a lot of times you don't bring it up because you don't want to hear no. If a person were to come to me, let's say a friend, and say, listen, I require a lot of, let's say, attention, a lot of inclusion and all that, to be like, wow, that's great. I can totally respect that. I'm not in a space to give that. I don't have a desire to give that. I am your ride or die. I will back you up. I will ask you how you're doing. We will hook up every now and again and hang out. It's going to be great. I don't need it on the same level, but that's really all that I can give. Now, I'm being honest. So now you have a choice, and your choice is, can I deal with that? Is it enough to have a relationship with me, that you can do that? If not, if you're like, okay, that's definitely not enough for me, I'm okay with that. I love that you know that. I love that you know that about yourself. And then you just go, okay, cool. Just going to keep it on the outer rim. We're great. It's not really what I need. She didn't do anything wrong with me. I'll call her every now and again. It'll be great. Like, I'm okay with that. But you got to be careful of not allowing the manipulation to come in. Well, if I just don't call them, they'll wonder what's going on. Why are we playing games? Right? Because I know for me, that's never going to land right. You could be like, you could not call me for a month and call me the next time and be like, so how are you doing? Expecting me to be like, oh my God, where were you? I'll be like, I'm great. How are you doing? Like, it's okay. I don't require it. So I wouldn't look at it as some kind of a thing. Okay. So it's you being honest with yourself. So an oak tree, I like to consider myself an oak tree. An oak tree, it's deeply rooted, very grounded, very stable mentally. You still have anxiety, but like stable. It stabilizes, it knows what it needs. It provides a sense of security to other people around. Again, I could be a snake plant. I can be an oak tree. And if you're in my circle, I will show up for you in times of need. I got you. But that doesn't mean I'm going to do all of the extra fluff. It depends on what it is, right? But an oak tree is solid. It wants things around it to be protected. It wants things around it to grow. It wants to give things around it an energy source to kind of fuel it when it may not have enough energy for itself. And the stability and support of those around me is my entire profession, and I love it. It isn't about me. It is about you guys. You know what I mean? And so you have to know what you're capable of, and that is going to take self-awareness. You are going to have to be self-aware in this because, again, you get too caught up thinking these are my needs, which again, great. I always want to say that. But you may not be able to give what it is that you need because you're too caught up in what you need. So it gives you a space of clarity to kind of take a step back a little bit and say, okay, all right, well, maybe I'm not capable of giving that space because I haven't learned how to do it, but I want this person in my life. So how do I learn to give them that space? Oh, well, that means I'm going to have to get a little bit more secure in myself and not take everything personally and not make it seem like, oh, that person's egging me out. And now you're making stories in your head and all of these things are coming through your head. Yeah, well, you just ask and you just say, hey, what do you need? And if a person says this, you go, oh, okay. Because you may require gifts, right? This is where love languages come into play. You may require a gift. That may be your number one. Well, if me and you were dating or me and you were even friends and we talk about it, I'm like, oh, well, what's your love language? And you're like, gifts. And you go, what's your love language? I'm like, acts of service, right? Well, no, this doesn't mean every time we get together, you got to walk around cleaning everything. No, or doing stuff. But that's what makes me tick. So if you're like, well, in your mind, let's say now you start giving me gifts. Like every time we see each other, you start giving me gifts. That's fine. Great. Thank you. It's not going to land for me like it would for you. And this is why it's important that you understand the people that you're dealing with and what it is that you're willing to give and accept. Because you may give it to me, I may be like, thanks. That was nice. Thank you. In your mind, though, you kind of thought this, I was going to be like, oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Holy cow, thank you so much. Like I'm probably not going to do that. So make sure that you're given the gift because you choose to give the gift without worrying about how I respond to it or anybody else for that matter. Okay. So how can you start going about it? Like I said, you be clear in what your capacity is. And right now, you may be so caught up in your insecurity and your past trauma and dealing with a narcissist that you may think that you're ready for a relationship, but you may not have it to give somebody. Because if you're still dealing with your own insecurity and you're still dealing with, okay, so let's put the shoe on the other foot. I'm dating you. Okay, I'm going to date you and I'm talking to you and you tell me I just got out of a relationship with a narcissist. I'm really struggling to, learn boundaries. I'm really struggling. I'm still very insecure. I love that you're honest. I'm going to say that. I'm going to be like, oh my God, that's great. And I'd say, so what kind of things do you require? Well, I just need a little bit of reassurance. That to me is like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Like to me, I'm not. I'm just not going to do that. So I wouldn't stop you. I'd listen to you and say, I so respect that. And I want to be honest with you. I can't give that to you. Like I'm not in a space. I choose not to give that. That's not something that's important to me, to feel that I need to constantly reassure you. And then that's up to you to go, well, that's okay. I mean, I am working on it. Not to people please, just to be like, well, I mean, is that a deal breaker? So in order to know what you can give, you got to know what your deal breakers are. Okay. You have to know what your deal breakers are, what your boundaries are, in order to decide what it is that you can give. So in that scenario, you would have to say, can I give this person, meaning me, you and I are going to date, can I give this person the benefit of the doubt? Can I give this person that space where I'm okay with them not constantly reassuring of our friendship, of our dating or whatever? Can I give that person that? Or is it just too much? And I feel like right now while I'm healing, which is fine, but the key there is while I'm here healing, not this is how I am. While I'm healing, I think I really need a little bit more reassurance than this person can give me. That is beautiful. That goes into you being honest within yourself. So don't stick in a relationship for the sake of sticking in a relationship because of anxiousness. That person that you think is unavailable may not have avoidant attachment whatsoever. They may just have a whole different need that you haven't discussed. Well, how would you know if you don't ask? And then how do you know that you're going to stay in it if you don't know what the needs are? Well, then you don't know if you can do it, right? So again, that's why I love this topic, because we put a lot of things on other people. This person didn't do this. They're not doing enough of this. They're not doing enough of that. Did you ask if they were capable of giving it? That's the other thing. It's great that you need it. I love you for that. I love the awareness. I will always celebrate that. But did you ask that person if they're in a space, be able to articulate it? So formulate it, not just like, well, I need more love. That doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I need more, say check-ins, whatever, throughout the day. You're dating somebody. That person may say, I respect that, but I'm not willing to give that to you. That doesn't mean that they're not a good person. That doesn't mean that they don't care about you. That doesn't mean that they're not even the most trustworthy person on the planet. That doesn't mean that at all. It just means that that's not where they are. So you got to be willing to have the difficult conversations. When you have those difficult conversations, it can alleviate so much of that spiraling of, what is this person thinking? Is this person that? Oh my God, I don't want to have the conversation with them. What if I scare them off? Oh my God, if you scare them off, it's not scaring them off. It's what if that's just not a good fit? And then if you have that anxious attachment, that's where it becomes a problem. Because now you're like, oh God, but I kind of like this person. I mean, I just want them to be this person. I know what you want, but you didn't ask what they're capable of giving. Okay. So the same thing for you. If you see somebody starting to maybe they start expecting some things and they didn't relay them, ask them. Say, question, what are some things that you feel that you really need in this relationship? Any type of relationship. But the kicker is you got to be okay with them saying, I can't give that to you. Because that means that they respect you. That doesn't mean that they don't respect you. That doesn't mean that they don't care about you. Because see, your anxiousness will go, well, of course they don't. They just want to be all about themselves. And then, no. They didn't say they don't care about you. They just said that they may not be equipped to give that to you. Now, smaller things, sure. They might be like, oh, sure, no problem. I understand. No problem. That's something I can do. But that's why communication is the key to any part of a relationship. You've got to have good communication. You got to have the difficult conversations, and you got to have them with yourself. You've got to have the difficult conversations with yourself to say, what am I capable of giving? Not what do I need? Yes, that's one of it. But what else can I give? Because that other person may not need what you need. And it may just not work. It may just be something that you're like, wow, I need way more than they can give me. And they may feel the same way. Don't take it as a personal slight. Don't take it as something that's wrong with you. It just means that you guys are in different spaces, and that's beautiful. Self-awareness and communication. But before you start saying that, oh, this relationship's bad and everything, at least communicate what your needs are, but also communicate what you can give them. Check it out.